Hello, it's Kwai again. Yes, this is the glossary on chopping boards. Okay, a lot of you probably use plastic chopping boards like this. This is a very thin sheet chopping board, which is handy if you want to cut up your vegetables and fruit and then curve it up and then pour into whatever you want. However, the problem with this is that, I'm not sure if you can see on camera, but there are all these fine lines that you cut through the plastic, which harbours bacteria like you wouldn't believe. The problem with these kind of chopping boards is that when you try to wash them, the bacteria just stays in the plastic. This in particular as well, because of the flat design, means that it doesn't it doesn't take away any of the sound. So when you chop, if you're chopping things like garlic, you'll be making a lot of noise, a lot of thudding noise, and you're basically bashing straight onto the surface that is underneath the chopping board. So these really aren't very effective, plus the bacteria thing isn't great. We have two of those. They start to warp very easily as well. But wooden boards aren't subject to no wear and tear either. As you can see from this chopping board, we have fine lines cracking here where we've just continuously washed it over time in use. This is because it's made from lots of different bits of wood put together. They're just jointed all together. And the problem with this is that over time it starts to warp when the bits of wood don't stay together properly. And also when it starts to warp, you get these cracks like here where the joints start tearing apart a lot easier. So these are very cheap. You know, you can find them in your supermarkets and things, and it's not bad as a short-term measure, but as an effective chopping board, they don't really match their requirements for cutting things over a long period of time like vegetables and fruit. But these harbour a lot less bacteria than plastic. That is proven. Even antibacterial plastic and glass chopping boards and fiberglass, that kind of material, they harbour a lot more bacteria than wood. Plus wood takes away a lot of the thud. If I smack down on this, the wood takes out a lot of the sound. Another great example, this is a far more expensive chopping board than the one I just showed you, but still, over wear and tear and over time, there's this huge gap here. These ruts were designed as a kind of reservoir for any water coming off the vegetables, but because it's made of lots of different bits of wood, all the water now just goes down the crack in behind the chopping board and goes down to the surface of the workbench. And I could actually break this right now because the line goes almost all the way through the middle. It was a nice chopping board, but it lasted only about 2 weeks of my use. If you want a really good chopping board, then you literally need a tree trunk. This is a fantastic chopping board for vegetables, for fruit, and it is very good for meat too. This is what they use in probably your local Chinese takeaway, if it's not in the UK, because they make them use plastic chopping boards over here. It's stupid, I know. But this is a chef's preferred chopping board because it's big, so you can put lots of stuff on it everywhere, which means you can do lots of work on it at once. The water gets drained away, gets soaked up very quickly through the wood. Any excess water that you might have on, say, your fruit or your vegetables gets soaked in the wood very quickly, and it doesn't have to run off onto your workbench. You should use a towel if you want to, if you don't want lots of spillage on your workbench, towel or kitchen roll. And these, because of the thickness, the huge depth, it's about 2 or 3 inches thick, it takes out loads of the thud. I'm tapping this as hard as I tap the other chopping boards, and it hardly has any sound because of the massive area that it can dampen the sound. Which leads me to my last chopping board. I use that as my fruit and vegetable board. This is my meat board. It's called a butcher's block, and it is very thick. It's about 6 to 7 inches thick. Very thick, with carry handle on either side. It doesn't have such a large surface area on the top, but what it does have, it's got a dampening rubber at the bottom, a dampening rubber plastic thing, which goes all the way into the board, all the way about halfway through the board, and it takes out all the sound. When you're chopping very big bits of meat, it just takes out the sound completely. As you can hear, it's making almost a tinny noise compared to all the other chopping boards. So this is actually made of lots of different wood again, but because it's so thick, this will not warp. I've used this for quite a while now, and you can see the surface is worn away, but still it's so easy to clean and it's so effective. It is my favourite chopping board, and I always say use one chopping board for meat and one for everything else, because especially raw meat, I'm only talking about raw meat. If you're chopping raw meat, you just don't want the risk that if you don't clean it quite 100% properly, that it will end up in your juice if you juice up vegetables or fruit. You just don't want that kind of risk. So I always say keep them separate. Buy two, like we do, like we have even. You know, a fruit and vegetable board and a meat board, and that's all you need. So, this is Kwai signing out.